What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got you another video. This is our Sunday video. Wanted to go over everything that we've done this weekend. We got a pretty good bit done. I basically accomplished everything that I said I wanted to accomplish, at least for the most part. The car is not finished from that line up like I was talking about, but it's pretty close. And we were able to get the shop cleaned up, which was great. Spent a lot of time working in this shop, just cleaning, kind of taking it easy this weekend. I have been sick. I've actually had an infection in my throat. It's been affecting my voice. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but I'm on my second round of antibiotics and steroids for that because the first round did not clear it up. So I was actually also in the hospital this weekend and didn't get the full time in the shop. But again, we still got everything that I wanted to get accomplished, and actually a little bit more, which is what we're going to go over in this video. So I want to kind of show you the first thing over here, and that is the hood and the trunk. So we got one good coat of epoxy onto the hood, and the reason why I do this is because you get the epoxy on, you sand everything first obviously, but then you get the coat of epoxy on and it will show you all of your imperfections. Like for instance right here, if we get close, you can see those three dots. Those were actually pinholes that was in the fiberglass hood, and they had got painted over the original last time this car was painted, and they were just always there. Well, this time I want this car to be as close to perfect as possible, so pretty much everywhere that you see body filler on this hood here, there was a pinhole. And so I got all those filled in, did a little bit of sanding on it. You can't really sand this epoxy for several days to actually finish sand it, because it takes time for this stuff to cure. If you tried to do all the sanding now, you would just gum up your sandpaper and you would actually put deep scratches into your epoxy. And so it's best to let it cure before you try to sand it. I don't know if you can see it, but like this has been lightly sanded and there's almost no dust. The only dust that I even got when I sanded this thing was actually the dust from the body filler. And then, like I say, your epoxy just gums up and it puts these little balls in your sandpaper, and then those balls just scratch up everything. So you really don't want to try to finish sand it for at least, I would say, 48 hours. They say 3 days and you have to sand it before you paint anyway, but I let it sit as long as possible. This is going to sit all week, both of these. The trunk over here, same thing. I did a little bit of sanding, just really where the body filler is, and then you can actually see where we burned through right there. There's a high spot. So this epoxy can also act somewhat as a guide coat. Your high spots will come through. We will eventually guide coat everything and block it, but for now we're getting it pretty close just by doing the epoxy. And so again, both of these will actually get sanded next weekend, and hopefully another coat of epoxy on them, and then we'll see how they look. And if they look good, then we're ready for a guide coat and just verify that everything is flat, and we'll block it, get it good. The roof over here, you can actually see the difference, and when you sand it after it's cured, so it puts off all dust, doesn't gum up your sandpaper, and just does a much better job of sanding. And so I was able to get all the imperfections that I had originally seen sanded down. I got this roof pretty flat now. Same thing though, it's going to get guide coated and blocked to get it right. We had a little bit back here that we touched up with some body filler that hasn't been sanded yet. A little bit down here. We've been working on these two lines, the one on each side. We got a little bit of body filler over there. Like I say, just fixing a few things. This side over here wasn't as nice as the driver's side, so I came back and touched it up again. I have done a little bit of sanding on that, but looking pretty good. And like I say, one of the biggest things we accomplished this weekend was really getting this shop clean. I got so much space in here now to work, move some stuff around. We got pretty much all of our paint stuff just on this table here. You know, I was able to take some chairs just to hold this up, and then one of my rolling carts for the hood. We got both of the front wheels over here covered up. I'll show you why here in a second. We got all the parts that don't need to be on the car right now off and kind of on a shelf. Got my tool carts cleaned up. But like I say, as well as getting the shop cleaned, we also got the disc brake conversion started. This thing has been quite the headache, I'm not gonna lie. The instructions that came with it were literally garbage, and as a matter of fact, they're over here in my garbage somewhere in this box right down there. They are just not good at all. The biggest complaint that I have is the kit. For one, it claimed to be a complete kit and that you wouldn't need anything, but that wasn't true. I actually had to go buy an adapter for the rear brake line. The hole was too big, and so I had to adapt it down, and that's the biggest complaint with it. But then there's also a lot of extra parts. They gave 2 sets of wheel bearings, and that was confusing as to why I had 2 sets of wheel bearings and I only needed, you know, 1 set for each side. So I had to do a little research to make sure that for some reason this thing didn't use 4 wheel bearings in each side. And then like this line over here, it actually had an adapter screwed into it that you didn't need. And so nowhere in the instructions did it tell you that you didn't need it, or even show you how to hook up this line for that matter. Same thing on the brake caliper. There was an extra fitting screwed in that was for the different like round style of line, newer style, and you didn't need that. But again, there was nothing in the instructions about how to hook up this line, and so you just had to figure out on your own that you didn't need that stuff. I actually had to watch a few YouTube videos just to figure it out. So that kind of sucked that they didn't put the instructions, but you know, it is what it is. That's why I love YouTube, and you know, you can find videos on there and then you can kind of figure it out. You know, I didn't do an installation video of this because there is literally hundreds of them. That's why I didn't record me doing any of this. I was really just probably cussing the whole time anyway. Wouldn't have been a good video. In here we do not have the master cylinder in. We got the brake booster mounted up, but we don't have the master cylinder in, and that's because these lines on the distribution block are all seized up, and so I'm actually going to have to cut all these back somewhere, splice new lines in, which honestly is probably going to be the best thing to do anyway, because you actually have to get these lines like around 2 of them to the front for your front brakes, and then you have to get your rear brake onto the back, and so you have to bend them anyway, and you don't really have a ton of slack. It can be done, but you're probably going to crimp them and have to do exactly what I'm doing. And so just be prepared for that you're going to have to splice them together more than likely, unless you're just really careful when you're bending them. But I'm just going to cut them, attach to them, make them longer, and get them bent where they fit correctly, and we should be good to finish that up. And I'll do that probably this upcoming weekend. We come around to the other side. First thing you'll see is we got a power wire hanging here. This was the original wire that I had ran for the battery relocation to the trunk, but it wasn't thick enough, so it wasn't putting out enough juice to turn the car over fast enough. And so I quickly realized that that was the issue, and I went to the parts store. It cost me $320 at the parts store to get this, I believe it's 2-gauge wire, and this was good. As soon as I hooked it up, I had full power. Car turns over great now. Got a rubber grommet where it comes up through the wall there, and I do plan to put a fuse at the back of the battery just in case something ever gets scuffed or whatever. But I got the line coming out there. I'm probably going to put some silicone around that just to help it seal a little bit better. But it just comes down and it follows the fuel return line all the way to the trunk. And I still got to remove this other wire, which is actually going through the car. That was the original way that I ran the original battery relocation, but decided not to do that with the new wire and just go underneath the car. That's what everybody does, is just go under the car and tuck it away from everything. But we got that done. This side over here, before we leave, I can kind of show you one of the things I was talking about. Like right here, this is the adapter that was screwed into this piece, and like I say, you don't need this. And this was easy to figure out. Obviously I just unscrewed it, and then my other line on the driver's side screwed right in. So, but again, it's just one of those things to confuse you that, you know, doesn't even need to be there. But we don't have this line hooked up on this side, and that's because this was also seized. We had to cut it to get the other brake line out. So I want to do the same thing, just splice into this thing somewhere and fix it. No big deal. But that's pretty much where we're at. I think we got a lot done this weekend. I'm happy with the progress. The car is looking, you know, a lot better. We got that front bumper out of here. It wasn't even mounted anyway. It originally had 2 screws, but I had taken it back off when I primed the front of the grill area there. And I do got some spots I gotta sand. I got some runs on that thing. I'm gonna get that front grill looking pretty good, even though you're not gonna see it. But we took the front bumper, just got it up on the shelf up there. We're not gonna be using it on this build. I do have it posted on social media for sale, but if nobody buys it, it'll just sit there. It ain't no big deal. Hopefully the new front bumper that we got, which is the Type R, will come in, and hopefully the wide body kit will get here soon. And then we'll be in much better shape. I can get you guys some better content. This weekend's video was really just to show y'all that I'm still working on the car, because like I say, it's a boring video. I know that there's not a whole lot going on. All you're seeing is, you know, the disc brakes are probably the only thing cool that happened this weekend, and then this other stuff is just, you know, boring. It's body work, so I don't want to bore you guys with that. But again, I'm going to give you an update every Sunday, just so that you know I'm out here still working, that I hadn't gave up on the car. And that's just where we're at, you know. But I do appreciate all the subscribers we've been getting. We've been averaging 5-10 subscribers every day. That's what tells me that you guys want to see this car, and that's what keeps me making videos. So with that being said, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, you know, and it just supports the channel. And that's what we want. We want the support. But with that being said, I'm not going to ramble on. We're just going to end the video right here, and I will see everybody next Sunday.